Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Dave Annable here with the Pros Talk podcast. I got a dear friend with me today, Wendy Onstein from the Leeds, Grenville Small Business Center.
Good morning.
We're here on International Women's Day. We're recording on said day. People will see this a little bit after, but I know you've been a big advocate and mentor of strong women in business today. So thank you for that. And I know a lot of people have looked up to you. And, I said to my wife this morning already, celebrate today. We see in the group, it's actually more women than men, I think, in the group that are entrepreneurs. And it's glad to see that change happening and that respect level, because we were talking before we went on the air. Women are the powerhouse of this industry, like as small business owners.
Yes.
They seem to be the up and comers.
Yes, they are. They are. So more women are starting businesses now than ever before. They're surpassing men.
And that means that stigma, that mental block that women had, like, I can't do this, hopefully, and maybe this is showing, is gone.
Yeah. I don't know about that, Dave.
Or more so gone.
Yeah, more so gone. Maybe we are making progress, but we still have a long way to go. When you just look at the stats, and International Women's Day has been around since actually 1908.
Wow.
But it really didn't get any traction till 1975, when the United Nations declared a celebration for International Women's Day. Back in 1908, a group of women actually marched in New York City to get a vote. So we've moved a little bit past that.
It's crazy, too, because you think about like 1975. Now you're coming into that era where I'm like, that makes sense. Like that date.
Yes.
And I'm a 77 child. So, that's a couple years before me. That's time for change. But I had no idea it actually went back even further. So problem is, going back even further, you're talking about a small group, a small motion, hadn't gained traction yet. But that's over 100 years. Yeah,
it is. It's over 100 years. So here in Leeds, Grenville, though, we've been celebrating International Women's Day in a formal way for about 10 years. Yeah. So we started that and started out at CJ's, was our first International Women's Day event. And we actually had a local woman come and speak to us. It was fabulous. And then we built on that. We've had some really great speakers come in and talk to us. We've had up to over 100 women in one room celebrating with us. And of course, because we represent the small business community, it's really around women entrepreneurship.
And that's key, because if they have like that momentum that I was just mentioning, I mean, having 100 people in a room, and listening, but the fact that there's key mentors in our community that you can rely on. I remember Carrie Hands.
Yeah.
Grew up in Algonquin, so I knew her very well. That's a powerhouse.
She sure was.
And then, like I said, yourself, I'm giving a shout out there. Yeah. And then my wife, I think she's the one from the other spectrum. She's not confident. No. She's never done business before. But now that she's networking in these different groups, I think she's with BWB. She's went a few times. She listens to you guys in the group here and sees all these other women. And even she's been in business now 5 or 6 years. Night and day.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And that's exactly what you're kind of portraying in these numbers is they should go and support these events and go check them out at least, because I always love listening to certain people. I'm going to finish this interview with you today, and I'm sure something inspiring is going to come out of it, and I'm going to have that fire in my ass, and I'm going to want to do something. That's there for women in business.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a pretty cool feature. So the event, you guys had an event on Friday.
We did.
How did that go?
So it went really well. Of course, it had to be done online because of COVID. And this will be my last, like kind of my parting International Women's Day. So it was very touching. It was a little bit emotional. But our guest speaker, our keynote speaker was a lady by the name of Martina Ryan. She's in Ottawa, and she actually works for a local company now. She was just so real in terms of her comments. And very inspiring. And then what we did as well as we had 4 panelists talking about their experience. And the theme for International Women's Day this year was choose to challenge. Yep. And so we asked them to each share about a time when they had chosen to challenge. And they were excellent. So we had Janet Campbell from Mrs. McGarrigolds in Marrickville, who's very, very successful.
Yep.
Kathy Shepard from Shepard and Associates in Kempville.
Very
She's
successful.
She's like a 4-foot friggin' house on fire. And also Karina Smith-Gatke,
Yep.
who's the mayor of in Leeds and the Thousand Islands. And Karina talked about what she walked into and why she ran, because she really felt that she wanted to challenge that situation in Leeds and the Thousand Islands and help the constituents and help the staff come back.
And help her township.
Yeah.
I've heard the story.
Yes.
And Karina and I are very good friends.
Yeah.
And I look up to her.
Yeah. She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
And the final panelist was Rhiannon Niles, who worked at Procter & Gamble for over 20 years and really like high up there leadership positions. And she's gone to the fireworks company.
Oh, Hands?
Yeah,
or,
it was, but
yeah.
Pyrotechnics.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she is their
HMI.
HMI.
HFI.
Yes. Yeah. And she is their COO, Chief Operating Officer. First in a female role there, which is inspiring.
Very.
And
because that would be an Asian company.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah.
I would be curious how far they've evolved. Not knocking them. I'm just that's a male dominant upbringing if it's got an Asian corporate.
Yeah. But interesting enough, their workforce is female.
Yes.
And so when they hired her, they wanted a female role model for the women that work there, which I thought was pretty freaking cool. Yeah.
Well, it flips back to what we said. It almost has to be because like having me and 4 guys as panelists at an international women's event would that's redundant.
You're schlepping coffee at that event.
But you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not relatable. You're not in belief, and you really got to empower and prove your point coming across. And having people, I didn't know 2 of the panelists, but Kathy I know. Mm-hmm. We've bounced stuff off each other just because she has the NGBB network group, and we've got the Approved Professionals, and we've intermixed before, and I've met her through that group, and she's an amazing businesswoman.
Yes.
And knows her stuff with accounting. And then Karina, obviously, I can't say enough about Karina. And her accomplishments. So having people like that, like I said, hopefully people leave a little inspired. They got a little bit more of a spark. Like every year, lighting a little bit more of a spark. And it's a shame it's only celebrated one day a year, especially when like September, we've got Administrative Assistance Day or whatever it is, which is kind of like a
April.
leftover secretary day.
Yeah.
That I can't believe it's still around.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, the position is great to celebrate, but there's not a woman or man in the world that operates without one of them. I mean, it's just not enough appreciation. Just like Mother's Day, right? Yeah. Like all moms deserve a little bit more than one hug and some flowers once a year.
Yeah.
They put up with us.
Okay.
Yeah. So diving in a little bit more, I mean, we want our listeners to know kind of the people behind the company first, and then we'll talk a little bit about what the company does. So as much as I'm still in denial of you possibly leaving us and against you leaving us, give us a little bit about who Wendy is and what you've accomplished, just in a nutshell of what you've accomplished, and then give us a little bit of insight to Jeanette and Carol.
Sure.
And then I'll flip you back into the other topic.
Okay. So do you want me to go back to where I began?
You can tell. Hey, this is all about you.
Okay. All right. So at the ripe age of 18, I started my career at Johnson Shoes. Johnson Shoes was where the Employment and Education Center was.
Okay, so up on Schofield.
Strouder.
Or Strouder, yes.
Yeah. So I worked in there. Actually, John Sharp was my first boss. So do you remember John?
I do.
You know John Sharp from the arena?
Yeah.
Didn't work there very long. I think I was making like $1.65 an hour or something like that. Crazy.
Wow.
Anyway, went to Black & Decker for a very short stint. And then my dad worked at GTE Automatic Electric is what it was called then. And I always said to my husband, I don't want to work in the same place as my dad. Well, so I wound up working there, and I started there in 1975. And I spent 26 years there in various roles. I was the first woman manager in the in the plant.
Yeah.
And so I worked mostly in the office, but then I worked in the plant, and I worked in all different places. But I found a love for transportation services there. So
really? See, this is great.
Yeah,
I would have never guessed.
Yeah. So and again, I was the first woman transportation manager. Like when I went to events for transportation services, I was the only woman. There'd be 100 men in the room, and I was the only woman in the room.
There's no way that felt comfortable.
No, but I thought I'm not going to let them show that.
I know
they will
your
never see
personality.
that. They will
Yeah.
never see that. And I soon moved my way up. I was on a provincial board. I led the group here locally. And then when I started having children, I left the transportation business and I moved into HR.
Okay.
Yeah. So I headed up a training center there. And of course, we had a super duper team. So I interviewed, when we did that huge hiring, I interviewed over 700 people.
Oh God, help you.
I know. It was like, it was crazy days.
Yeah.
And then I was responsible for training them. So making sure they had the proper skills to move into, to manufacturing, to, do soldering and that kind of stuff. So I didn't do any of that kind of hands-on work, but did all the administrative, hired all the instructors, helped build the curriculum and that kind of thing. And then we also did some soft skills stuff where we hired contractors to come in and do that. And then in 2000, things started to melt down. Yeah. And we sort of knew that SCI was going to close it. And on International Women's Day, 2001, I was invited to leave.
Wow.
Yeah. So 20 years ago today, I was let go. And I thought my life was over, Dave. I thought, this is it. I'm not going to survive this. Because,
especially after climbing.
Yeah. It was who I was.
Yeah.
And it was like, how the heck am I ever going to deal with the embarrassment and all that kind of stuff? But, several people reached out to me and really helped me through that time in my life. And then other people just stepped up and showed confidence, like Dave Ashton.
I think that's a testament to you, though, Wendy. Like, I've gotten to know you over the few years. Like, I knew you ahead of time, and then when we connected in the networking groups, you like I seem to repeat words, but I mean, a powerhouse really doesn't describe it. You're not what people expect in a good way. Because you and I have had some great conversations.
Yep.
I'm always amazed when our thoughts align because I'm psycho, I'm crazy, a thinker, and it's not often I find somebody that would agree with me even 50% of the time. But some of the conversations we have. So I mean, going through such a drama where it's like, oh my God, I broke the mold. I've climbed into this company. I've climbed into these roles, and then to be let go because of industry crashed.
Right.
And in the latter part of your career too.
Yeah. So I was 40. I was in my late 40s, I guess.
Yeah. Because I'm 43.
Yep.
And I've always said, 7 years ago when I did I'm not going to stay with corporate anymore and I'm going to do my own thing. And one of my reasons was after I'm 40, I don't want to do that because there's kids at 20 that'll replace you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So it's scary. So, but going back to, you said 2000, when it happened, 2001, that was even harder because it's a woman in a leadership role that broke that mold, what are the odds you can break it again? So from there, go ahead.
So before I end that part of the story, I just want to say that it was sort of interesting how they made those decisions, and the incompetence that they kept was shocking. Anyway.
And were they male?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That stigma is almost like even racially today. I'm still amazed with some of the stuff we hear, and we've come so far. But with the treatment and respect of women, that gets my blood boiling every time.
But you know what? Having said that, they did me the biggest favor ever.
Absolutely, because here we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I would have never in that environment been able to grow, been able to realize my potential.
So
and
you had hit that top plateau.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where you were.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I was starting to get lazy. So you don't see that when you're in it, right?
Never.
So anyway, Dave Ashton reached out to me and he says, I've got some projects here at the college. And so I did some project work for Dave Ashton and Michael Laking.
Yeah.
And then through all of that kind of path, the Small Business Center had an opening, and it was like, that sounds really interesting. So I applied, and I got the position. And it went like, so this has been, I have to say, I thought my previous career was my life's work.
Right.
But I have to say the work that I've done over the last 16 years is really my life's work.
And probably left the best impression.
Yes, for sure.
Right? Because I know everyone in our group, many other groups in the area, and then all the businesses that you guys have helped, probably listening to this here, are going to be really sad to see you go.
But you know what? It's time. Because the number is up, right? So
we can all still take you out for lunch.
Oh, totally. As long as you're picking up the tab.
That's right.
But this isn't the end. This is the beginning of something new, right?
Well, exactly. Maybe you've peaked and this is it, and it's just good time to pass the torch with something that you've built and molded, because it's probably very refined from what you've done. Because I mean, again, you've got a trifecta of women in that small business center right now. All that can do that job and to show and help break that mold and support these businesses, male, female, whatever. And then you guys go right youth to the Plus program. I think it's just a great system. I mean, it's just, we sit on committees together and I bounce stuff off you all the time. You're just always nervous that when somebody, whether you move on to something new or not, you lose that little bit of connection.
Oh, yeah, and I have to tell you that I've been awake at night thinking about it, but it's just been my goal when I reach that number, when I turn 65. I've worked since I was 18, right? Yeah. So it's really time for me to do something different. It's time for new, fresh ideas to come forward, and hopefully that will happen. When I stepped into that role 16 years ago, there was me and a computer.
Yeah, and probably like the size of this table computer.
Shut up. I think it was a laptop. but anyway, and I mean, they were just kind of, so, I mean, the groundwork was there. Yeah. But I really took it from
you have
almost
even
zero.
In the 5 years that I've been more involved with you professionals and seeing what you guys do. It's just, and that's one of the things. I think that's what you're saying is, that evolution. We were talking about it before we went on. I mean, we're creatures that need to evolve.
Yes.
We can't sit, like COVID, we can't sit in one stagnant position.
Oh.
We have to move and shake and turn and twist and everything else. So this is your next move and shake.
Yep. Whatever that is. We know a little bit about what it's going to be, but I'm not really sure what else it's going to be.
And you never know.
No.
Some like I tell the story a lot of times, whether you know or not. Like I did 15 years at a position and comfortable, stagnant. I was getting stale in my own mind. I went to work just like any other day. I started work, had a little bit of friction with my boss, sent a text at noon to my wife and let her know that I'd already quit. And I walked. I just walked.
Yep. I can see you doing that.
Yeah. I went back. I finished most of 2 weeks. But it was just, if I didn't, I'd still be there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that's one of those scary things with business. And you mentor, I mentor, certain people mentor, but I constantly find myself saying, you have to have it in your blood to be able to make that leap. It's one of the scary, I'm sure even stepping down, like retiring. You said it's been in your mind.
Yeah.
It's got to be difficult.
Yeah. It is. And
because we like as much as we like change, we like to be comfortable.
Right. Yeah.
That's why we stay married for 100 years.
Some of us do.
Well, that's right. But like even me, like Natasha is my comfortable spot.
Yep.
She is.
Well, she's wonderful.
She is. And I said, that love keeps, I said before we went on, love keeps us alive.
Right.
And as long as it's there and it's evolving and twisting and shaking and turning, like you can't fall in love and you can't get a job and repeat for 100 years.
No.
You got to grow.
You know what? It's not fair. It's not fair to the organization either.
Yeah.
Because I've pretty much given all I can give. So now it's time. It's time. And I'm leaving it like in very good hands.
Yes.
So, there's decisions that will have to be made in the coming days that I have nothing to do with because the city will do their process and, which has to be fair and transparent. I mean, it is taxpayers' dollars, so they got to do what they got to do, and hopefully it'll work out as I would like it to, but it's not in my control, so I have to let that go.
Never is with a municipality. Doesn't matter who it is, Brockville or Kingston or whatever. Yeah. It just doesn't. So that's a good segue into the small business center itself.
Yes, for sure.
So it's operated down at City Hall. You guys got a spot there. Kind of in a nutshell, what are the services? Like what is the mission? What is the services? And what are you there for?
So we are there to guide entrepreneurs towards business excellence is what our mandate is, right?
Yeah.
And how we do that is we do business consultations. So somebody comes in and they say, look, we want to start a business. What are the steps to doing that? We run them through those, but it gets much deeper than that. We talk about everything because, people can come and say, I want to start this business, and I can think they're crazy.
Yep.
But if they really want to do it, they will do it.
Yeah.
It's so much about the business owner, right?
And better to do it with guidance than resistance, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're going to try, let's try to give them the best foot forward.
Mm-hmm. And so we have some programming as well to offer them. We run a program called Starter Company Plus. Yep. And right now we're offering that 2 times a year. And it provides business planning, coaching, and a possibility of a $5,000 grant.
Yep.
So that's very helpful. We've also partnered with the Community Development Corporation, so they add in a little bit of money too that kind of jacks that grant up a bit. And we also run a program, which is kind of my favorite program, is the Summer Company program. Yeah. It really lights me up because seeing young adults try on entrepreneurship and having the lights go off in their head about mid-August, because some of them start in June, some of them start in May, some of them don't start till July, just depending on where they are in their schooling. But, some of them don't get it at all, and it causes...
Do you find, though, that is that the better... So I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm seeing you light up, and I've been to a few of the intros,
the launches,
and meeting these gung-ho kids that you're like, you are gonna have sleepless nights and no weekends, but good luck. But do you find that's the better system? Because with me, I came out of that high school era that it was fill out the form, the guidance told me I was going to be a garbage man or whatever, your college material, which was a detriment back then, but do you find giving them a taste of entrepreneurship, even just for the summer, maybe gives them some of that insight that you and I didn't have? We thought we were going to end up working for the man in a factory and be stagnant all of our lives. But giving these kids a taste that you could be an entrepreneur, you could not be an entrepreneur, is that something you see in a long-term effect, a good thing?
Oh, absolutely. So I've said this publicly before, Dave, that is the best use of taxpayers' dollars I have ever seen. Yeah. it's $3,000, and it just makes such a difference in their lives. And just in terms of, so I've had participants, I want to call them kids, but I can't do that. Yeah. So I've had participants say to me, I will never work for anyone else.
And that's gold. You've heard me say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I have had participants say to me, my son being one of them, Brad, ran a maintenance lawn mowing kind of business. And this was before
he loves his lawnmowers.
Oh,
I see him out all the time on the tractors.
He does. But schlepping for business, no. He said to me when he finished the program, he said, you know what, Mom, I don't want to work for myself. It's too hard. And that's fair enough, right? Because a lot of people put all of their life savings into a business and they are not entrepreneurs. So
yeah, and it's not a guaranteed paycheck either.
Oh gosh, no.
Like I tell people all the time, they're like, "Oh, look at Joe, here, and he seems to have a fast car. He's got a boat. He goes camping. He's been to the down south twice. Blah 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 blah." That doesn't paint a portrait of what possibly could be the issue. He could be broke.
Yeah.
He could just be paying money where it shouldn't be being paid. He could be a rock star.
Yeah.
And maybe it is real.
Maybe it is.
But that's a hard mountain to climb.
Yeah.
So,
but at the end of the month, when there's no cash in the bank,
like, you're the only person to blame.
Exactly.
But I just found those kids like so eager, and I don't think I would have worked for somebody if I had a taste of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I am not somebody to work for somebody else.
No, you are not.
No. And Natasha is definitely an entrepreneur, but she needs a support system.
Right. Yeah.
She definitely would not do it alone, I don't think. We have a lot of business meetings together. She's partner in everything I do, and I'm partner in everything she does. And it's really two-fro. And but again, what I'm using as an example is if she had a starter company, I think she would have scared herself more and still had to find her way to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But me, I would have bit that way back.
Yeah.
Probably had 3 or 4 that failed first.
Sure.
But I would have made a run at it at 18.
And that's the definition, right, of an entrepreneur.
They're not all home runs.
No. And they'll go, you know what? If this doesn't work, I'll just do something else.
Yeah.
And you see that. If you've been in this position long enough, you will see that they may fail, but they're going to get up and they're going to start over again, do something different.
Oh, yeah. In 16 years, I guarantee you've seen, like, I always laugh, Kevin O'Leary. I just like the guy. I don't know what it is. I think it's his raw honesty.
Yep.
But, we see episodes all the time where he tells people, like, he's not saying, Wendy, you should not be an entrepreneur.
Right.
He's saying, Wendy, that black book idea, take it behind the garage and shoot it. And then think of something else. He never says think of something else, but he ends on take it out back and shoot it.
Yeah.
It's just that's not the right idea for you.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship, I used to own a sign company. It was the most miserable experience of my life. And I got out of it fast. I got out of it because I was on a job. And this is great for these young guys or gals that are trying to set up businesses. So I was making money.
Yeah.
I was doing the job on the nights and weekends as a second job to facilitate architecture. And I had a 6-foot mural going up on a glass window, and the client was over my shoulder nagging at me. Mm-hmm. I ripped it. I ripped it half off the window.
I bet you
and
didn't
I got
end
my
well.
car and I left and I closed the company. But I went back and finished, for the record, with no charge. Yeah. But it just, that type of job was not for me.
Well, there's no money.
No, there is. Yeah, it's for the ones that do it, they must have a better system than I did. And that's the game, is certain people fit certain alleys, and they have to understand that it's nothing but hard work. I know you work hard. I work hard. I'm insane, as I said earlier. Mm-hmm. I work harder than most, but it's these entrepreneurs. I just, I said the guidance counselor form that said you had to be a garbage man and go. Yeah. That stigma's dead. I'll tell anyone. Again, Kevin O'Leary said in a speech I was listening to once, he's like, all you people making fun, you want to be corporate, and you make fun of the people that do plumbing and electrical. Name one house that doesn't have a toilet.
Really?
So that means every house needs a plumber.
Yes.
Name one house that needs a stockbroker. There's none.
There's none.
So that stigma's dead. So I encourage skilled trades, but I encourage like the summer program. I agree with you. I think it's the best
for sure.
program I've seen.
Yeah.
Where it's wetting that whistle and building our economy.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you might get a gem. You've had a few.
We have.
Yeah.
We have. We've had lots of them. And they've gone on like we just worked with Mitch Beattie on Friday, right?
Mitch is going to make a big difference around here.
He is. And the first time that he applied to the starter company program, we turned him down.
Really?
Yeah, because we thought he was a flight risk.
Oh.
No pun intended.
No,
But well, because he was young and he had this vision, but you know what? We just thought, you know what? He might want to not do it here, And so we did turn him down, but
I thought the same. He came in here with somebody else and got a little, they had a meeting and I got chatting with him about the approved professionals. And I went like, is he a shark in a goldfish pond?
Yeah.
I think he's going to do okay here.
Oh my God. He's like, his work is second to none.
Yeah, it is good. And he's being innovative.
Yeah, he is. And he's just a really good guy.
Yeah.
So,
well, again, most Brockville natives, like I say to people all the time, like I say to my clients anyway, like I'm born and raised in Brockville. Mm-hmm. Like my handshake means a little more than like I would have got a cuff up the head if my handshake didn't mean what it did for my dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we were raised that way. And I think one of the other things that I know you guys teach and encourage is, and I've had this talk with a few people that are just struggling, and they're too focused on just Brockville.
Right.
We live in Leeds and Grenville.
We do.
It's a big area.
It
is.
A
lot of people are amazed, like in my architectural world, I cover Mississauga to Gatineau. That's so I can stay alive.
Right.
There's not enough houses in Brockville. You have to expand. So I think Mitch, being back to him, he's just got to see that Kingston's only so far away and Cornwall's only so far away and Ottawa's right there. If that kid breaks Ottawa, he's good.
Yeah, he's golden for sure.
You'll be set.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you find with the summer company, Starter Plus, there's a good mix of the ones that you can be like that person that entrepreneur's got it. That one doesn't. He's going to need a little more help. Like, are you guys open and you guys support and weed through that and kind of like, most teachers know which one needs a little more help and which ones don't, and then mold them from there?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah, because, I mean, not everybody's a rock star, right?
No.
We really look at how coachable they are and what their idea is and sort of what their dedication is to and I can tell pretty much. Right.
That's a big one too. I forgot about that. Is coachability.
Yeah.
Because I'm not very coachable.
That's okay.
I mean, it's not. I tell people, like, my son works for me, and I tell him, and that had to be probably the same when Brad was going through it. But my son works for me, and I'm like, hey, listen, right out of the gates, I know I'm a horrible teacher. So, like, break that ice. Yep. I know I am. I'm going to be rough, and I'm not.
Yep.
And it's worked pretty good. But I think it's like, as long as you guys are being honest, that that's the key.
I can't remember the context or even what the business idea was, but somebody came in for a consultation and they were talking about this, and I said, you know what, I don't think this is a really good idea right now. And they actually called me a couple months later and they thanked me for that advice because I was absolutely right. So, and it's not that we are the be all and the know all, because that necessarily could have been absolutely the wrong advice. But in this particular case, it was the right advice.
And I think that's what I was getting at, is honesty.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't saying you guys are dishonest. I'm just blatant honesty.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have to realize it's your opinion.
Yes.
And based on what you've been taught throughout your life.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody is sitting in your role and has been there a year,
right,
compared to somebody that's been in that role for 16 years, or whoever's taking over you, let's say they've had 10 years.
Right.
That's part of the role, and you have to take that honest advice and apply it accordingly.
Yeah.
Do they know? Like, did you just walk up to a random man that was getting a newspaper and think they're reading the stocks? They could have been reading the cartoon section. You don't know.
Yeah.
So, and I'm that way too. I'm very raw honesty, and I
Yep.
mean it with all respect.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it's not received in that way.
Yeah, no. Those are the ones that aren't coachable normally.
Yeah. Where, where they think you're hurting their feelings, or, you made them cry, or, but really it really is because I care about what I do, and I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Yeah, Kevin, he's still a coach.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
When I first met him, we were in the BBN network group together, and I signed up for that, take you out for a drink and have a lunch.
Yes.
And I thought we were just going into it. No, I was being interviewed. I was being interviewed if I was coachable or not, and how insane my ideas were.
Uh-huh.
Kevin,
How epically did you fail that one?
Well,
day?
Kevin and I found out we both like Batman.
Yeah.
We are still to this day friends.
Yes.
And I respect the man, and I think he respects me.
Yes.
But I'm not coachable.
You're not coachable.
He said you pass all checks, but no.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
and,
no.
And, good on him, because, if you were really interested, he could have taken your money.
Absolutely. Right? And that's where that raw honesty comes
Yeah.
in. He could have signed me up for X number of dollars a month.
Yep.
And just ignored me because I wasn't coachable. So I wasn't going to listen to or do anything he said. But, he went through. He said the systems I have in place, or what I have, are working.
Yes.
Everything seems legit. You're happy. You're here. Let's finish lunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
And like I say, we bounce off each other. We support each other ever since. And, love to have Kevin on the podcast.
Well, I could probably make that happen.
Well, we'll see if he's listening. We're still new at this. I always like to see who's listening.
Yeah, I know.
We had Tim Hortons cup the other day, and I said to Kevin Spencer, I think, was on. And I was like, oh, let's see how long it takes Shane to see that. Maybe we'll get an endorsement.
Maybe
we'll have Tim Hortons for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's, no, I was open to the fact that I was probably not coachable. I'm Irish. I'm stubborn. I'm in my ways, and I'm never wrong. And I know that none of that's true.
Right.
I know it, but that's where my head just goes. But in crisis and mentoring, I think I've got some wisdom. I've stumbled a lot, so I've got a lot of values to show. And so your program, the startup. So is there any that work, or are they all kind of booking? Like, are there any that you see are being received? I guess work was the wrong term. Any being received more than not? Because I know the Starter Plus surprised me. There was a pretty big group that are members now of the approved professionals that went through that. But is there one that stands out more? Are the kids grasping to the summer company more, or are they all pretty leveled out?
So I would say that, summer comes and goes, right?
Yeah.
And then they go back to school. And some of them continue their business on, but really, the ones that really make the most effect in the local economy is the people that go through the starter company program. They, and we track.
And that's that mid-range,
Yes.
like not the students, not the, there's an age restriction on the plus?
Nope, not anymore.
Oh, there isn't?
Nope,
Okay.
not
I thought
anymore.
that's why they did the plus, because it was,
No.
we're 30, so
Oh
therefore
my God,
we're old.
no, yeah, no. So you can be whatever age to do that program. But the other thing I want to spend a couple minutes talking about is the Women's Entrepreneurship Program.
Absolutely.
It's a brand new program. It's about a year old, and we deliver that all virtually.
Okay.
It's all online, and it's open to a woman who has been working either in a hobby business or has this idea about starting a business, and we take them through the steps. So we take them through the business plan, we take them through the marketing plan. We have a group of mentors and coaches that meet with them on a regular basis virtually, and Carol Hardy is the person that leads up that program. So so somebody starts at a confidence level of 0, and we move them to 70, 80. You can't move them to 100,
No.
but we move them right along. And it's incredible what that program has done for some of the women that have been involved with it.
And it's we said it once already. It's kind of key, right? Like nobody, my mentor was my dad.
Yep.
He was an entrepreneur that failed, right? The business ended up ending, and he pivoted. But I thought it was bulletproof. I thought everything was golden. And in the latter part of his years before he passed, we had a lot of talks about it. And the image I had was not the image that was true.
No.
I learned a lot. Like, he actually envied me. Yeah. And I was like, I'm doing everything you did. And he says, no, you're not, you know?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that I think those entrepreneurship mentoring, especially, you know, great to have one focus on women. Because again, we said, like, you can't have an all male panel teaching, and you probably can't have an all female panel teaching males.
No.
It's key.
Yeah.
And I know Carol again. I know Fraser better, but I know Carol. And so virtually, is that to encourage the fact that they can kind of work in progress, or is it an entry level?
So it was a direct result of the COVID.
Right, because a year ago it would have just started.
Yeah. So the feds had put some money aside. So this is actually a federal program being delivered by a provincial agency. Not too bad.
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah. And so it was directly because of COVID, because otherwise we could have met in person, but we said no. They said no. Let's try this virtually, and see what happens. And I had some real serious doubts about that, because I want to see you. I want to touch you.
I think you and I are on the same page of that one. It's a difficult like, I've done a couple of I did 2 of these on Zoom and pulled the plug.
Yeah.
Like, done.
No.
We can't have a candid conversation in the Brady Bunch square.
No.
It just doesn't happen. We have to sit in person, and we have to feel that emotion and see each other's reactions and hear tones. It's like emails. Emails seem, I always tell people too, like, even my staff, I'm like, you email too much. If the person's happy, they're going to read it, and it's great. If they're sad, they're going to read it sad. If they're mad, they're going to read it angry. Yeah. And it's out of context. That's like, call and talk, or invite them in. So, and especially when you're trying to mold somebody, and especially boost confidence, they need to see that portrayal of confidence. Like, we believe in you, Wendy.
Yep.
If I just said that on the phone or in an email, you'd be like, oh, he says that on the
Blowing
bottom
smoke.
of every email, right?
Yeah.
But if I sit here and say, I think what you're doing, Wendy, is good and induces change. You can see I'm looking at you.
Right.
You can see I'm saying it.
Yeah.
The mannerism it's brought into. Yeah, I mean, I sit with one of the ministries, and they've told us like 3 years before we're in person. And that's just, it's in Toronto. I would have to go to Toronto, and there's 14 of us. Yeah. It's not rational. No. And we're all working harder.
Right.
For the same.
Yeah.
And days are more, maybe you're right. Maybe you got the right time to exit.
Maybe. Born at the right time.
Dave's retiring.
Yeah. Born at the end of the baby boomers.
So, I mean, how much, since you are retiring, I'll see if you want to get into this. So how much is the program? Because I know a year and a half ago, you and I were speaking, and the program was, you guys were stressed about financing. For funding from the government.
Yep.
And it is taxpayer money, and I understand that. And I think we're seeing it now. Everyone's got their hand out. Like program wise, and they all need help. Mental, homeless, health, PSWs, like you're seeing that now. Like it's almost like whatever's the hottest topic,
I know,
gets the bigger chunk of the change. But you guys, I'm sitting here as an entrepreneur. It's a key facet to the future of small business is you guys. How do you see that being portrayed and moving forward through COVID? Like, have you been kind of pushed off to the side? Is we're a year later? Is the financing better? Is the support better? Like, you know what I mean?
We've been given some special project money that we can use. So, the recovery program we were given some additional money, and we've been able to do some programming with that money. It really doesn't help the center, if you will. It doesn't give us money to hire another person.
Yeah, because you guys would have submitted a budget last year.
Right. Well, actually, our contract is up next March.
So you proposed a contract in what was supposed to be a 3-week curve.
A 3-week or
it was supposed to be 14 days.
Oh, yes.
And all this was going to be behind us. So you guys would have written
a
contract or a proposal going into 12 months of hell.
Yeah.
So the detriment to I guess I don't want to get into COVID talk, but I mean, going into COVID, trying to plan a budget, had to be like something unforeseen, just like the rest of us. But
we were a year into the contract, though. So
Okay.
so we had no visibility of this, and so we were a year into the contract, and really, I mean, if we're totally honest, our travel, but we didn't need a travel budget anymore, right? Because we weren't going anywhere.
I didn't think of that one.
Yeah, so we weren't going anywhere. So we were able
Less
to
networking meals.
Yeah, all of those expenses were totally gone, and we were working from home, so that cut our office costs as well. But
Yeah, you did a long stint. At
I
home.
did. We went home in March 22nd or something like that. Jeanette went back to the office in June.
Yeah, that would have been about right.
Yeah. I didn't go back to the office until September.
I would have been crazy.
Yeah. So, but then we didn't do the second shutdown. We just kept working in the office.
I lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I lasted 2 weeks at home.
Oh.
And I'm like, it's my wife and my son that I work with.
I know.
I'm going back.
Yeah.
Plus rural Algonquin, dealing with 22 meg download speeds.
Oh, I know. How painful is that, eh? How
I
painful.
couldn't do it.
I mean, yeah.
I must have drank 12 cups of coffee a day just because while I was waiting for something to download or transfer,
Yeah, really.
might as well get a coffee.
Yeah, might as well.
And then Natasha was like, "You're drinking a lot of coffee." She's like, "You're wound already."
Yeah, no,
Like,
you're kidding. You don't need that.
I don't need any more
Yeah.
coffee. But so I mean, how do you? So is the situation better with provincial funding for the? Like I say, we spoke a year ago.
Yeah.
And you guys were stressed.
Yeah.
Because we knew there was cuts.
So
coming.
there was a cut, and we are still stressed. So, but what we did was kind of entrepreneurial.
Hey, and that's practice what you preach, right?
So we have reached out to our partners in North Grenville, and I have to say that those people are very forward thinking.
It'll be the third podcast we've done that North Grenville has got a shout out for what they do for small business.
Yeah. So we went and we did a pitch to them, and we offered them, like, we went out a couple of times a month and we actually did business consultations right in the municipality.
Perfect.
And also, but in turn for services that we were giving them, they paid us. So it really did make a difference in the budget. It covered that little gap that we had. It allowed us to keep Jeanette on, and to continue with some of our program delivery.
So is that something that you can share with other small business centers as a mold to break a mold? Like, is this another Wendy evolution that's kind of sitting here? Like, there's got to be other small business centers in other regions that are struggling as much.
Yeah.
Is that something that you can, like, are you guys a network of contacts?
Yes, we are. We're a network of contacts. And I mean, so the way it works out there is there are many small business centers already. We're one of 57 across Ontario, right?
Yeah.
So that already have that kind of a model where the
So you were the one to pick up on.
I was.
Okay.
So I can't take credit for that, but
I tried.
But it was, yeah, but it was, it was something that I had, that I probably should have done sooner. But I mean, we're certainly not. I mean, we're not struggling. We're just.
No, but it's another great story that the center can use to teach entrepreneurs that you had a resource sitting there, and even as coaches or mentors,
we hadn't tapped them, right?
Yeah.
And they were getting services from us. We were traveling to North Grenville, and we weren't being compensated for it. And our travel budget is not very much.
Yeah. Well, Leeds and Grenville's unique, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, people don't really. Well, sorry, Leeds, or what is it? Lanark, Leeds and Grenville. You service Lanark as well?
No.
Okay.
No,
so
my colleague in Smith Falls does.
Okay, so you do just Leeds and Grenville,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a big rural area.
It is. So, one of my major goals when I took on this job 16 years ago was to make it a more regional approach to economic development in terms of the small business center. We were so Brockville centric. And I did not like that. I grew up in
you and I had
Algonquin.
a lot of
right?
conversations about this.
It's like, when you live in Algonquin, you definitely come to Brockville to shop, and you
Yeah.
all get all your services there. But I just wanted those rural communities to be able to benefit and not have to come. And Algonquin's a bad example, but North Grenville people don't want to come to Brockville for services.
Nope, they're an Ottawa community.
Yeah. So one of the ways to do
and
that,
probably can't get services from Ottawa, right? Because
right?
they're
No,
not
they
in-
can't.
Once you cross the river, you're
Nope.
out of your municipality or your county.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So they can't. So I wanted to make that accessible for anybody. So I started with Augusta Township, and I got them to support us. And in return for supporting us, we do their mayor's breakfast and we do their business of the year. And they give us a little bit of, coin to do that. So that helped a little bit. And then we also, one of the major things that we did is we went to the county and we asked them for a contribution. And over the last, I think it's the last maybe 3 or 4 years, they have given us a contribution that really has helped us a lot.
And it needs to continue.
It does.
I'm sitting here as an entrepreneur that, again, I was misguided because I thought my dad did it a certain way, and it was all just my rationale thinking made that image reality.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't reality. But if I made $1, I put $1 away. I've never taken credit. I've never taken mentoring. None of it. And I just did it. It was just Dave pushing and lots of resistance. And I don't encourage it unless you really have to. But I mean, for whoever's listening, government-wise, I mean, these programs need to be supported.
Oh, yeah.
That incubation you and I have talked about and not even, it's not just the municipalities, provincial, federal support. These mayor's breakfasts, I've been to the Augusta one. We're both involved in the economic development of Augusta. They need to happen. And these municipalities need to realize that if they're not offering these services, you're losing residents, losing taxpayer dollars, and losing possible revenues and perks to your, perks to your municipality. Like Augusta, is there businesses leaving because they don't have the services? And they're going, and not leaving like to Toronto.
Yeah.
Are they leaving to Leeds and Thousand Islands?
I don't know.
They got to trap that.
I wouldn't go there for internet.
No,
that's terrible.
Yeah, it's even worse. Like we think Algonquin's bad.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh my God. Yeah.
We always joke right where we are, and I know Brad's close to where I am, and there's Steve across as well, and we're in the armpit.
Yep.
We're hopeful though. We got the Starlink internet coming, the Elon Musk internet, and there's a few people down the road that got like 190 megs download.
Wow.
And that's on a beta test. So here's hoping.
Yeah.
But anyway, so municipal people need to reach out and just make those connections, make those services available because it's key. And then the funding from you guys, I just can't stress enough how important it is. I mean, the mentoring aspect is new to me because I was always stubborn and closed to it.
Yeah.
But now with the Ontario Approved Professionals and seeing it in our relationships with programs like you guys, it's amazing how much it's needed.
Yes.
Because nobody knows the answers. You admitted you didn't tap into something soon enough and save the pandemic thing. So your events as well then, I know we had one down at Aquatarium that went virtual.
Yes.
And I attended and listened in and everything else. We had a few tech problems.
We did.
But do you find, because they're saying now like it's going to be fall by the time we're going to have like these live events, possibly. I'm ready to have a home show in a month. I'm just waiting, but it's not going to happen, I don't think. But I'm hopeful. Do you see moving forward with those events still being an issue virtually then? Or is the reception that people are paying attention and they're working a little bit? Because obviously in person, we're both going to agree is the only way to go.
Well, I think a lot of people are saying that now. A lot of people are saying that, kind of the side effects of this whole thing are worse than the disease itself. Yeah. But anyway, won't go there. But yeah, I'm really, if we have to go online to do our events, we'll do that.
Exactly.
But we would far prefer to be in a room with other people.
We find with our events, people are in the meeting. And you heard me say this the last time. but you don't know if they're listening.
Right.
So it's almost like a distracted child in a class now, where they're only getting 50% or less of the content. And I just find that disconnection it's not working. We're having our first networking event coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I am too. I am I'm fine with saying, I mean, I don't work for provincially funded programs. I'm sick of Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm sick of
we're all
online.
sick of Zoom. You know?
I love, because I like not knowing what I'm going to talk about. I don't know who's going to show up, so I'm not ready for anything. Whereas Zoom, you're like prepared. Make sure so-and-so gets a chance to talk, and make sure so-and-so gets his chance to do a plug, and it's over. Yeah. And I don't know. It's one of those things, so... Well, all right. Well, that beep is our time.
Okay.
Well, go ahead with your finish.
I was just going to say, I also want to give a shout out to all of the mentors in the center that have contributed so much over the years. They have made us what we are. They give. They don't receive anything from us. They just give, and they really are passionate and care about our small business community as much as we do. And without them, you know, we would really look like a different organization.
Well, and you'd have one hand behind your back.
Yeah.
So thank you, my dear.
Oh, thank you. It's been so awesome to chat.
Yeah, no. And like I say, we actually have a chat that people can listen in on now.
Yeah. Oh, oh, Dave.
Because we do talk. It's great. So no, thanks again. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And because we air in 3 weeks, and we're going to be ticking on close to the Exodus.
It's like 53 days or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I honestly wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You have done an amazing job all the way up till now, and I'm sure whatever you do next will be the same.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Wendy.
All right. Take care.
Wendy Onstein with the Leeds Grenville Small Business Center. You can reach them at 613-342-0400, extension 4470, or at www.lgsmallbusiness.com.